Please welcome Charlie Allan from Combat International. He has come here to join us tonight. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing grand, yeah. Just quite used to getting up at this time in the morning. Um, and it's, first day of summer today.
Is it the first? Oh, nice. Right on. You said you were pretty busy yesterday. You had a busy day. What'd you have going on?
I had to fix my Land Rover. I had a burst hose when I was on my way up to a meeting on Friday, and I had to limp it back again and
Hmm.
doing a bit of renovation work at home. So I've been working from home for the last year anyway, more often than not, and just catching up on some rental work,
Oh, that's
renovations.
good. You do a lot of your own stuff because I'm
Yeah,
the same way. I do all the home repairs that I can.
yeah, anything I can. I think I had to draw the line at plastering, so I had to get one of the
Yeah,
one of the boys in to do that.
yeah. I've got some stucco work to do on the outside of my house, and I am dreading it. It's a new skill. I'm either gonna have to learn or I'm just gonna have to pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty messy job. We call it Harlan. Yeah, we put Harlan on a house. Is that what you mean? Put
Yeah,
a render on. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, stucco. Yeah,
Stucco. That's what we call it out here on the West Coast. Stucco.
oh, yeah,
Uh,
stucco.
anyway, all right. So let's get this again. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come here, especially waking up as early as you have. We've already got people commenting about how epic your beard is, sir. So I'm gonna make this officially my first question. How long have you been growing that thing out?
Since I was about 5.
So you've just never shaved. Do you keep it trimmed or you just let it go?
No, I just let it go.
Nice.
I have trimmed it in the past, but that was a mistake. So I just let it go.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think the first time I had a shave when I was about 15,
Hmm.
and the underside of my chin ended up what we say looking like a plate of beans. So I gave that up. I was like, no, I
Okay.
ain't doing that no more. So and
Good on you, dude.
as it happens, this beard has earned me a lot of cash over the years, and probably got me a lot of the parts that I ended up,
Hmm.
uh, a lot of the features that I got in movies. I'd say that sealed the deal for me, basically.
Right on. Never going away.
Gave
I
me the
like
look.
it. All right. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the profession that you're in. I know you started Combat International. You've been doing this for over 20 years, I believe, if my math is correct.
26 years, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 26 years. Tell me how you got started.
Well, I started off as a lowly SA doing a lot of background work.
Hmm.
I have a history in martial arts, ninjutsu, weapons based. And when I was on the film sets, I could see there was a lot of background stuff, nonsense going on, and just it wasn't very impressive fighting. And at the time, a lot of the stunt guys they had it was more stage combat. There wasn't the stunt fighting in movies 26 years ago doesn't sound like a long time,
Hmm.
but it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great, and the extras in the background that were handed weapons had no experience with weapons whatsoever. And I clocked this and I saw a niche in the market and I went for it. And 26 years later, we're one of the best known teams in film for providing real because we have a coined a phrase in our academy. We call it brutality is our speciality.
Nice.
And that's our motto, So we try and keep it real,
Hmm.
but we train regularly to keep it safe because safety is paramount on a film set, as you know. Uh,
Absolutely.
and the boys love it. It's a good scrap, and we usually end up against each other now. So before we'd go on film, and we'd get asked to come on, and they missed the point. They used to at the start. They used to get us all on because we look great, lots of beard and lots of hair.
Hmm.
I did have a lot of hair at the time, and I shaved it off. But we had a lot of guys on set. We never got to fight each other. We'd always end up put up against other SAs, and that's when the accidents would happen because you were working with inexperienced guys, and
Hmm.
if any of my guys got injured, it was usually from other SAs. So, but the main purpose of the group I saw at the start was to build a buffer zone between inexperienced SAs and the principal actors and stunts, and we worked with stunts, so that's how it all developed.
I think I think people who work in that industry, in the stunt industry, and they make these battles come to life where the post production people don't have to create it out of thin air. I think you guys sell the magic of these movies, and I don't think you guys get enough praise when it comes to these films and stuff. Like you see these red carpet events where they get these main actors and stuff, but when you're talking about these movies, man, and like you're as an audience member, and I'm looking at this big screen, and my jaw just drops at how many people are just clashing at one another, and you're like, that's all real. Like those are the people to me who I think need as much praise as possible. You guys do amazing work.
Yeah, they don't get enough by far. Yeah, yeah.
I've got to ask you because it's been in my head since I got introduced to you. But firstly, I just want to say thank you to Jamie, who I think is a team member of yours, who got this all hooked up. He was in the chat when we were talking with Kåre Conradi, who plays Orm from Norsemen. And he joined our Discord and was like talking about international or Combat International. Was like, oh, these guys are great. You got to talk to them. And originally I was going to have him on. I was like, oh, dude, I'd love to have you on my show. And he's like, no, you're going to get the big boss. You're going to get this guy on. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And it just went from there. So I wanted to give a proper shout out and thank you to Jamie for hooking us up. But my jaw hit the floor when I was looking through your portfolio on your website and I saw Gladiator was on there. And that's one of my favorite all-time movies. I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time, and that opening battle sequence is just freaking incredible. So can you tell me a little bit about what it was like working on that set? What scenes did you have involved in? Go at it, man.
Well, when we first arrived, we didn't realise it was a DreamWorks production, how big it was, until we started seeing the signs. There was about 20 of us from Scotland went down, and working closely with stunts. It took about 3 weeks to rehearse for that opening 10 minutes, and another 3 weeks to film it. There was about 150 horse on the set, and that was incredible. And this is this is another reason why it's important for big movies to have boot camps and do a bit of training before. And we'd been working out in a tent, working out various scenarios, working out getting chased down the hill with horses, clearing the area off, where we were filming, down to fine detail, like, looking for stumps that would be hazardous for us and the horses.
Yeah.
Because, when we went for it, we were proper running downhill with horses galloping after us.
Yeah, for sure.
At full speed. And when we stepped on the set, there was about maybe 1,500 extras on set that day in that scene, Romans and Celts. There was that's the one.
Yeah. And, I'm trying to pull this up on the fly, so you have to work with me here. But yeah, this was like when I mean, especially seeing this as a kid. This movie's what going on 20 years, I think.
Yeah, easy now.
Yeah, it's so incredible, and this is what I love about these movies that you guys do, where this is all practical. Like, it's just people. It's amazing, man. So go ahead, continue.
It's probably a bit more than 20 years, yeah, because I actually got to watch there's some scenes in the arena that were. I didn't go to Gibraltar. My time ended there, as you know, on that muddy hill with the axe in my hand. But so we trained away. We had a couple of rehearsal days. They filmed the Roman side prior to us doing the big, huge battle scene. All this kind of stuff was going on, in the woods. But there's a scene where they asked me in for an eye line. So I got pulled out of training, stood on top of the hill, and I was just standing there in my combats and my Harley shirt, and my leather jacket, and the Russell came over to see me. He came over to chat with me because he heard this guy shouting abuse at him, so he thought he'd better go over. So he came over for the chat and he saw the T-shirt and he's like, "Oh, you got the bike or just the T-shirt?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've got the shirt." And at the time I had an old shovel head. We were kind of having a laugh about how he didn't believe that my Harley didn't leak oil, and being an old shovel and being a Harley man himself as well. So yeah, when we got into the thick of it, there was it was the middle of February, and it was snowing. So the snow that you see on the screen, most of it's actually real.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I always remember on the day, this stunt coordinator, Steve Dent, came over and said, you know, the guy wants to speak to you. And I was like, the guy? And I was like, yeah, the boss. He says, Ridley wants to have a word. I was like, oh, right, okay then. So I went over.
Ridley Scott, the director
Yeah,
of the movie. Okay.
yeah. So we went over and I had a chat with him, and he's looked at me, and looked at the guy, the coordinator, and he says, could you not have found anybody hairier? You know, so I'm standing there, all hair and teeth, you know.
Yeah.
And so he says to me, yeah, I'd like a couple of lines off you, you know, can you give me some lines? And I was like, yeah, nah, no problem. I was like, didn't even know I was getting set up for this feature. And he was like, I was like, what do you want me to say? And he goes, oh, think of something appropriate. And I was like, easy. And I was standing there with 400 kilts behind me, my crew, you know.
Yeah.
Looking at the Romans, who some of them I knew there was a bunch of boys. I'd give a shout out to Britannia. My mate Dan Shadrake, who's a renowned and well-known historian, works out at London Museum as well. So as he was walking away, he shouted over his shoulder, in German, please. And I was like, oh no, you know, in German. I don't know any German, you know.
Yeah.
That's the one. And so I had to run around. We ran around trying to find somebody who could speak German, so I could give them what I wanted to say and get the phonetics.
Mm-hmm.
So we found a couple of camera guys in second unit who were German. So I told them what I wanted to say, and they wrote down the phonetics for me. And I said it back to them, not at the top of my voice, obviously, but I said, you know, a few lines back to them. And they started laughing, and I was like, oh no, is it that bad? Again, it's my German. It's mein Deutsch Scheiße, you know? And he said, they started laughing. He goes, no, he says, it must be with the Scottish accent. With your accent, it actually makes it sound like old Germanic. And I'm like, seriously? I was like, really cool. So
That's
off
awesome.
I went. Yeah. And that's how we got the lines down.
Is that you right there?
That's me right there, yeah.
Dang.
Like I say, I had more hair then.
Yeah, right. And there's that freaking huge axe in your hand too. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. I had no idea. I knew you were involved in this movie just off your portfolio, but I had no idea that I had seen your face on screen so many times after watching this movie. Like, that's that dude. That's the Barbarian dude.
That was an epic moment. I mean, I've watched it a couple of times. Obviously, when it first came out, I thought it would just end up on the cutting room floor. And I was down in London at the premiere. I got invited down to the premiere with cast and crew. And then all I heard was, you know, all the shouting. And I'm like, no way. I was like, that sounds like me. Because they told me they were going to dub it, but they actually never dubbed it. They used my voice. And then who's that?
Oh, yeah, this is my co-host Vader. He says, wait, you're the Barbarian who fought Russell Crowe?
We ended up face to face at one point, but
my god, dude.
that never got used.
Yeah. This is my co-host Matt Vader. He has a beard that's probably, I don't know, maybe a quarter your length, but he wants to get to your level, and he's freaking out in the chat right now.
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, just keep feeding the beard.
Just keep feeding it. I love it, dude. That's awesome. Wow, that's an incredible story, man. I can't believe it. That blows my mind. So you talked about safety a little bit. Just on this set alone, you said there's so many people there. What kind of safety measures can you take with that many people involved? Like the human error involved in that must be massive. Like what goes into keeping everybody healthy and safe?
Well, there's loads of tricks we've got when we're fighting. You're always watching your mucker's back. You're always, you're his eyes in the back of his head.
Hmm.
So we were scrapping away. Horses are the biggest hazard. We've had a couple of injuries in the past with horses, not fatal, nothing crazy,
Hmm.
nothing brutal, but we have had, I'd say, horses are the major one. Fire. We've been in movies with explosions and stuff going off all over the place. In fact, even Jamie will maybe tell you there was one time he was lying and a piece of hot debris landed on his hand, and we were right in front of the camera and he couldn't move.
Oh
So
no.
he ended up with this horrendous thing growing on his hand after a couple of days.
Oh no.
Yeah, he took great pleasure in showing everybody as well. Yeah, so you just got to keep training, and your
Mhm.
periphery vision, work on that. A lot of people don't even think about their periphery vision when they're walking down the road, they're doing their daily job, but we use it all the time and train it to see how far behind you can see,
Mhm.
So, and it's quite incredible how handy that comes, especially when there's a lot of swords and weapons swinging around.
Oh, for
You know,
sure. Yeah, I can
they might,
imagine.
they might be stunt weapons, but they still smart a bit when you get smacked, and
Yeah,
anything really can damage an eye. So you've got to keep your eyes open.
absolutely. Speaking of like prop weapons and stuff, I know I love this kind of background information and stuff like that. But typically, what do you make your weapons out of? Is it some kind of a balsa wood or something soft like that, or do you guys go full rubber, or does it like? Because when you see each other on screen, you're actually going at it, or it looks like you're going full bore. Do rubber weapons hold up to that kind of thing, or is it different for each scene?
It's varied over the years. I mean, I remember when we first started, they used to use it was like a soft aluminium with a hard aluminium core.
Okay.
And you used to get a beautiful ring off those, like a nice ding, off the swords when they
Mm-hmm.
smacked each other. But again, they ended up coming back like saws. And some people, their fighting style is a bit more, stage combat, and they're using the camera to cheat it. Whereas, brutality is our speciality. We get stuck in, so we usually end up the armorer in despair giving us the same weapons every time because we end up smashing them up. In the
Yeah.
end, we do try and be careful, and we only use them when we need to, go in hard when we need to go in hard. But nowadays, it's you still get that aluminium core surrounded by a molded rubber, and the rubber, it varies. You get bamboo ones, which are real swish
Hmm.
and real fast. You can get speed with those, and they tend to not damage as much. Still get a sore one if you hit a knuckle or a thumb, which is common. And working with essays and stuff like that, so you've got to watch out for that. Um, yeah, so they can still do a bit of damage to each other, so you've got to be careful. But that's what they use rather than using steels, because obviously steels would be lethal.
Right. Absolutely. So when it comes to these films, and as you've grown over the years and become more involved in this, I'm curious on like the business end. How did you take this? Because you said you saw like a niche market, like, oh, there's a need for experienced people who know how to swing a sword without actually hurting somebody. How did you turn that into like a viable business where you could actually get make a living doing it? What was the process of doing that? Did you have to, I mean, you worked with Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe, so you had like a nice resume behind you to go to production crews, or do people seek you out, or do you have to reach out to different productions and kind of put your name in the ring?
Up until a point, we were word of mouth, really,
Hmm.
and we people in the industry would recommend us. It's always people in the industry that brought work. I mean, Steve Dent, one of the greatest stunt coordinators in the UK, and he supplies a lot of horse and a lot of carriage. That's what he's known well for. And he probably got us more jobs than any other person in the film industry over the years. And yeah, we could have done it to make a living out of it. I could have been sat in a mansion, considering the amount of money we've raised, honestly, over the years. But I say raised, the guys, we all give up 50% at least of our wages that we earn on film sets towards our charity that we created in 1996. And the money that we take from filming goes into the pot, into the charity's coffers, and we are building and are still constructing. I'd say it's probably, to most people, it would look probably finished, but it's always, we're always recycling, we're always improving it, we're always building on it. We've built a massive medieval fortified village called Duncarron in the heart of Scotland, in the centre of Scotland.
Oh, wow.
It's as an educational facility. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it authentic? Like it's all historically accurate and everything?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, I mean, we've had to use modern techniques and modern building, 21st century, like the groundworks, the foundation, and everything underground that you can't see. We've had to abide by the rules and regs of building control. But yeah, we've created this massive medieval village. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. The photographs don't do it justice. There's a few nice aerial ones out there. If you look up Duncarron Fortified Village.
Quick, I have a $5 super chat from Andre. It says, "Are stunt guys and gals underpaid?" Charlie mentioned in the beginning that you guys are too, and I feel like you guys don't get enough attention. Do you feel like there's a bit of a gap there for people who do the work that you guys do?
No, there's not. I wouldn't say we're unpaid. No, I'd say we're paid fairly. And the stunt, when you're doing fire and falls and stuff like that, which we don't do. We specialise in combat. We leave the fire and the falling out of buildings to those guys. I'd say they get paid very, very well. Yeah, the day rate's great, so they can't really complain there. But yeah, we are, as you put it, underserved. Not recognised in the industry like all the rest of the people as part of movies.
So can you tell me a little bit more about the charity? So you said 50% of the money that you guys raise via your work goes straight to this charity, and you use some of that to build this medieval town. What else does that money go to? Is it just educational purposes? Is there some kind of a school that's a beneficiary?
Yeah, well, mostly over the last years, it's taken us a lot longer than we expected when I first embarked on it. I thought we would get lottery funding or support from the government, but we got nothing. So I saw the opportunity of working in film. There she is, Duncarron.
That's gorgeous.
Lifelong project. That's an old photograph. It's more populated with buildings now, as over the years. That's the early days when we first started.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's beautiful countryside too.
Yeah, there's about 5,000 logs there in the ground now.
And did you guys build all that yourselves, or did you use a contractor?
No, we built it ourselves.
Wow.
Volunteer based. But yeah, I mean, it's taken us a long time to get to where we are now. A lot of effort. We've raised money through other events as well as doing corporate entertainment, using our combat skills for entertaining the masses at events, and film is our biggest form of income for contributions from the guys. That's
do you know how to play the bagpipe?
Events. Yeah, I do.
My God.
I used to play quite regularly on stage as well, but COVID put a stop to that. But we're kicking off with a new lineup shortly.
Oh, that's amazing! Great, I'm glad to hear it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
this is amazing, man. I seen when I was doing some research into what you were working on and the kind of things that you've done. I've seen pictures of this, but I had no idea what it was. I thought it was like a training facility, but to hear that it's part of a charity and an educational event, and that's amazing, man. That's great.
that battering ram that was next to the picture there, that was donated by the man himself, Russell Crowe. Yeah, there she is. We called her Rosie. That featured in the movie Robin Hood. Again,
Yeah, another Russell Crowe movie.
Yeah, Russell Crowe and Ridley Scott. Yeah.
What was it like working on that movie? Do you have any fun stories like you did with Gladiator? Was it so these guys obviously they were like, oh, freaking Charlie was badass in Gladiator. So as soon as they started production on Robin Hood, did they call you like immediately, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, Ridley calls us his boys. So again, I got a call from Steve saying that Ridley had asked for his boys in the room when all the adults were in the room. We call the top guys all the adults. But, they were in the room, talking about the production, and we were requested again. So I got another phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Same again on Last Duel. We just did Last Duel, September 20. God, lose track of time with this lockdowns. 2020.
Yeah, everything was delayed. I think Last Duel got hit with a delay before it hit the big screen. I know I just watched it recently. It's a really interesting movie, a lot of fun, a lot of great combat in it. It doesn't. There's only one. I think there was one sequence that had like a large scale battle at the very beginning when we get Matt Damon who just like charges down. Is that the part that you worked on, or did you work on the last duel at the end of the movie?
Yeah, we were in not the Last Duel. That was mostly background and just the two guys, two chaps fighting. Matt Damon, yeah, he was a really sound guy to talk to. But yeah, there's a scene where I get taken out with an arrow right in the eye, which was
yeah. Oh, that was you.
Yeah,
no
I was playing a Scotsman as well. And then later in the movie, you hear me shouting and walking up and down the river.
We cannot just sit here.
Bank with a severed head in my hand again. But it was Ridley again. There's a story behind the arrow in the eye. I knocked him back in Robin Hood. When we were filming in Robin Hood, when we were at the gates, we pushed this battering ram up the hill, which was dragged by a cable underground. You couldn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And the big Clydesdales attached to it, making it look like they were helping the guys push it up the hill. They were pulling in one direction, we were pushing. And we're under the shield wall, and Ridley walks in and goes, I need somebody to take a crossbow bolt in the eye. Oh, Chick, you'll do that, won't you? And I was like, come on, Ridley. I said, you want to take me out again? I says, this early in the movie. I was like, anyway, I says, I want to be around for the second one, because it was rumoured there was going to be a second Robin Hood.
Oh, okay.
And Russell was already looking at it at the time. But obviously that went by the wayside. But so I said, come on, man. I was like, you took me out in the last movie. Can I not survive this one? And he was like, all right then. Slapped me in the belly as he walked past. And everybody's like, oh my God, you just knocked back Ridley Scott. So he got me, stuck me right in the eye in the Last Duel.
Oh, I can't believe that I've watched so much of your content, and I never knew it was actually you. Even when I signed up and I got this interview going, and we were kind of communicating back and forth, like knowing now that you're actually the guy on screen doing all this stuff, it's kind of blowing my mind as we're talking.
Perks of the job.
Yeah, that's really freaking cool, dude. That's so awesome. Kadish, my producer here, is asking, you guys worked on Norsemen. Were you on screen for that show as well?
I was. You actually see me. I can't remember the character's name again. The one with the hands. He's got no hands. And
Jarl Varg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were the one who was spoon feeding Jarl Varg.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah. He's a really cool guy. What an incredible actor. I got right into his part.
Oh yeah, Jarl Varg is one of the standout characters in that whole show. He's incredible. We've been trying to reach him to see if we can get him on as an interview, but he's a very difficult person to reach.
Yeah, yeah, he's a busy guy. He's always working. Mm-hmm. Those scenes were filmed in Dungarn as well, because they came over to Scotland to film, and then we went to initially we went to Norway. I had to go over and train the actors, so I took a team of guys with me, and we got everybody in the hall at night. So they'd be on film set all day. We'd be hanging around in the gym, and then they'd be filming all day, come back really knackered, really tired, because they had to do everything twice as well. So everything took a little bit longer because they did it in Norwegian and English.
Yes. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was one of the biggest things that we praise that show for doing, is taking those extra steps, because it opens up a whole market. Us in the States, I absolutely freaking love that show. So we had an interview recently with Jon Ivar, who was the writer director, and he was a super nice guy. Everybody that we've talked to on Norsemen, Øystein Martinson, who plays Kark, Corey Conradi, who plays Orm, they've all been a joy to talk to.
They were a really great crew to work with. Really great crew to work with. Jon Ivar, he's super cool, man. He's so laid back and chilled and in his job, and
very much so.
Great. Yeah, and so back and forward, back and forward, and we were lined up for, we did the huge big battle scene at the end when Jamie and I and a few of the other guys went over and helped them out, with their training, and then I got choreographed the battle and slotted all the scenes that we trained into it, and that was quite a great experience.
So my next question for you too is, how involved are you in the actual production side of things? Do you collaborate a lot with the set designers and the costume designers to make sure that things are as accurate as they can be? Do you have any say in that, or do you just show up and they have like everything kind of laid out for you?
We usually show up and everything's laid out.
Okay.
There's usually a coordinator we're working in, but if it's our shout, we get to position everything and work with everything. And again, working in Duncarn, Jon Ivar kind of gave us the run of the mill, and they brought their own set dresser as well, and things just kind of developed from there. But if it's our project, obviously it's our rules, so.
Yeah,
we get to play a little bit more. Like the guys have just recently been working on. When we were in Ireland filming last year, I was approached by a couple of my team, and the two of my guys that help with training, they're two of my top trainers, and they came to me with an idea, Chaos Rising. So they're doing. They were supposed to be little shorts, but it evolved and developed into like probably a 40-minute YouTube program. And there's 3 of them now, three episodes that we're looking at. We've just finished the first one in late October, November.
Okay.
It's getting edited. It's in the editing suite at the moment. Our friend Charlie Parker's putting it all together, and Jack Fox, who's fantastic at special effects. So, but if you look up Chaos Rising, you'll see the trailer. That's a homegrown project.
Okay.
And made by stunts and combat performers, basically.
Chaos Rising. All right, well, definitely I'll put that on my list. That's awesome.
If you've got gamers on your channel, they'll enjoy it because it's loosely based on Warhammer.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, we do have a lot of gamers that watch our stuff, so that's pretty cool. So I have to talk about Outlander because my wife is a huge fan of that show. We know my co-host Jude is also a huge fan. What involvement did you have in that show? When it comes to things that take place in your local area, do you take kind of like an ownership of that? Do you like, hey, this is a show or a movie based in literally my backyard. It has to do with my heritage. Do you kind of like take that and kind of covet it a little bit?
Yeah, well, right from the get-go, we got a call from David Brown, who was the producer at the time, and we worked with him on a little low-budget thing with Roger Moore's daughter and Sean Connery's son at the same time. The two Bond kids, and it was called the Quest, Merlin the Quest. I think it was shown in Canada. Well, it didn't air over here in the UK. And David Brown, he went on to a sci-fi, what was it called? Watergate, the one with the ring where you go through and
Stargate.
Stargate, yeah, but it was the water one. I think he did.
The effect, I think they used water as the effect.
They used water, but there was another one. It wasn't Stargate. It was
Stargate Atlantis. There's Stargate Universe.
Stargate Atlantis, I think it was.
Okay.
But anyway, so out of the blue, this some 10 years later, I get a call, and it's that gentleman, David Brown, who was director on that stuff, and he invited us to get involved basically right from the get go. I even taught Graham McTavish and Sean and Sam Hewen how to wear the blade, how to hold themselves, what things to watch out for on camera.
Nice.
If you're wearing blade, and how to use the sword and the buckler, and then obviously stunts came in again. One of Steve Dent's guys, Dominic, he came in and took the actors through the paces. But we've had a ton of background work, and we do all the musket work, all the red coat, rifle drills, all the combat. We've done that for the last six years.
Oh,
and
wow.
Now, yeah.
Okay, so you guys, you're not just swords and shields and arrows. You've moved forward in the historical timeline, and you take on those more advanced battles and stuff like that as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
That's great, man. That's
we
awesome.
can do anything. We can cover. I mean, we cover all areas of combat right up to modern time, so we can pretty much cover everything.
JT's in the chat. Salty needs a Combat International hoodie. I agree. I also really want a T-shirt that what does it say? Brutality is our specialty. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they're coming.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm like, if that's not a T-shirt, man, it's gotta be by now. Come on. That's a great.
We'll make sure you get one. We'll make sure you get one.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. I'll return the favor. We'll get something to you guys as well. I'll have to figure out the shipping information, though, man. I'll tell you what. I sent something to Corey Conradi as a thank you for being on our show, and the international freaking shipping charges were insane. It was probably the most expensive mug in the freaking history of mugs, but it was well worth it, though.
Yeah. Well, we might be coming over this year anyway, my wife and I, so maybe we'll just take them in the suitcase.
I'm down. I told you I owe you a beer for waking up at the crack of dawn, so I'll gladly buy you a drink when you get here.
Yeah.
Excellent. Speaking of like drinking and beer and stuff like that, do you guys have like a regiment for staying fit and staying healthy? And because we kind of talked about avoiding injuries and stuff like that, you guys have to stay limber. Do you guys have a strict diet when it comes to people who sign on to become a team member with Combat International? Or are you like, all right, here, you got to work out this many days a week and this is what you're going to be eating? How do you guys stay in the shape that you're in?
Well, if you get to walk on a set with us, you're expected to be at least a level of fitness that that you can keep up with the rest of us for the day. Long days and sometimes turns into weeks and months. But alcohol's a no-no. We don't. There's no. If anybody turns up on set stinking alcohol the next day, then it's just If you don't take us seriously, then you're off.
Okay.
Everybody, the guy. We don't say to the guys, "Oh, you can't drink," because that's just not going to happen. And we are Scotsmen, so.
I was going to say.
I like a dram,
That's a big ask.
Yeah, so we just, we keep a lid on it. Don't abuse it. Because everybody else is relying on you, and if you're turning up, inside out on a set the next day, then you're letting the rest of the crew down as well. So, we have a reputation for being quite lively and a good laugh, and we always keep morale up. Costume and makeup, ladies, they just love us, because we dress ourselves, we undress ourselves.
Oh wow!
We clean our stuff off at the end of the night. We do everything we can to make their life a lot easier, and we always have done for the whole time. It's just been a natural sort of level of respect for everybody else that we work with. We aim to make everything as easy as possible for everybody.
Vader's, I'm telling you, this is he wishes he was as cool as you. He says, how far can you throw a boulder? That's a great question. Do you take part in some of those strongman competitions, the classic ones that we see on TV and stuff like that? We watch these bearded barbarian dudes freaking throw barrels over their head and stuff. Is that something that you guys do?
No, not anymore. I mean, we have our own sort of tomfoolery, messing around. We do have medieval Highland games as a challenge for like an incentive tour, group building and stuff like that. But no, I don't throw boulders around anymore.
That's for
Very
it's for,
rarely heads.
it's for those young folks. Let them mess around with that stuff.
That's it.
What was I gonna say? Oh, so if somebody somebody finds out about your company, they're local, they're in the area, can they just sign up to become a member? How does it work? How do they get into the team? They have to pass some kind of a test. Is there an interview? Is it like an employment thing? How does that all work?
Yeah, well, we've got we're just launching some new courses. We never used to be open to the public. We were more clan based. So if you came in through the clan and did your time through the clan and volunteered at Duncarron and put in some graft and put in some hard work, you were selected or allowed to participate in various combat scenarios, events, TV stuff, and then eventually progress into Combat International being the main goal. But we don't like to encourage people to come and join us. Well, we didn't like people coming to join us just to get into the movies.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
everybody thought, oh, you guys work in the movies. I want to be part of what you're doing, And we're like, well, it's not about the movies is funding this project. It's about the project. That's what the Combat International was a way of raising funds for the charity, but it's growing arms and legs now. So shortly, we're just about to, and my wife's been working solidly on the website the last week. That's all coming to fruition any day now. So we are running courses. So we'll be running an assessment, which you've got to register online on the website. So if you look up combatinternational.com, the website will be live very, very shortly. People can register. Obviously, UK based. We've got a school down in Nottingham and one in Scotland at the moment, but we're looking to open up a few more in the UK. So people can come up through the ranks. You come up through your gradings, and eventually you get to sport one of these chaps. But you have to go through Combat International Training Academy, which is going to create we're going to create an agency which will provide film and television with background fighters that can work in the industry with the skills to create a convincing background. So you don't have any guys in the background laughing and joking, waving swords in the air,
right,
and larking around and ruining a shot, which is one of the reasons it spurred me on to do this was seeing a couple of guys in the fabled Braveheart. Don't get me into that one.
Oh man, if you've got some salt to throw on Braveheart, please, if any channel you do it on, it's got to be mine.
Right, two guys, I'm sitting watching the movie, and I wasn't actually on it. I got invited on it, but I was working at the time, running my own company, and I couldn't attend. But a £60 million budget and two guys wreck a whole fight scene for me. They're standing in the background having a laugh and they're flapping their swords around, like waving them like little wands.
Whoa.
And that just did my head right in. I was like, that's the reason we're embarking on what we're doing, to stop that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was my goal. One of my goals was to annihilate completely background performances like that could ruin a scene. $60 million budget, and that's all the guys got to play with in the editing room. It's the best of what he's got, and then they have to suffer a couple of guys
goofing off in the background,
goofing around in the background. So aye.
Well, I appreciate your dedication, man. Like I said before, the people who sell these movies for me when I'm watching it as an audience member are the people like you who put their life and limb at risk to light themselves on fire and jump off of horses and do all kinds of crazy things just so that I can freaking sit there with a Coke and a popcorn and be like, this is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm so glad to hear that you guys have a strong charity that you're grounding this all on, and like that's what it's all about. It's not about being in the movies, because I can imagine, once you sign up and you get this organization going, you've got a lot of people, probably morons like me, who are like, I want to be in a movie, and just kind of show up and want to jump in. But you kind of have to weed those people out, and you have to make it about something else, so that way the work is taken seriously. I love that, man. That's amazing to hear.
Yeah, a lot of people have the capability. We just need to find it in them and get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Get their body language is paramount. But if you look like a cardboard cutout waving a sword, it's never going to work. So our job is to make you move properly, get your footwork right, your attitude towards the weapon that you've got in your hand, and believe in the various uses of it. Weapons can be used in many different ways. Each weapon can, and sometimes every now and again there's somebody out there that they just don't have it. And it's heartbreaking sometimes to tell a guy that, mate, you're not warrior material. Go and make swords, maybe. Or try an axe. So sometimes you have to also work with different weapons to find what is your. Everybody says everybody's got an animal.
Mm-hmm.
What's your weapon? So you might be totally rubbish with a sword, but you might be great with a bowstaff or a spear that can be used in a bowstaff fashion, or an axe, or hand to hand with two swords. I like working with two swords. Short swords especially, they're great. I think that's the Celt in me.
I've never really considered that like each individual actor who is in these battle scenes kind of has to be that part and play to their strengths, and it makes a difference what weapon they're using. That's very interesting. I've never heard that before. Usually, in your brain as a consumer, you're just like, oh yeah, you get on set, you grab a weapon, and you throw on your favorite heavy metal band, and you just get in the mood to freaking smash something, and you go at it. But it seems like it's a little bit more complicated than that. Do you guys have like a huddle meeting beforehand and kind of get amped up? How do you guys get in that warrior mood to like make that charge?
We're always switched on when we're on set. The minute we step on set, it's boom, different mode. And I get called Charlie Allan in the medieval village office scenario, because if I say Chick, they're like Chick, Chuck, Jack. What? Chick's a nickname, and that's the name that I'm known by on film sets. But I've even been told I change when I step on set. So I always tell people, please, if I speak to you in a fashion that you don't particularly like, don't take it personal. I'm just trying to get the job done. And if I've got to be snappy and bark at you and snip at you, just do it and jump. If you're annoyed with it, come back, speak to me later, and I'll explain why. Because my eyes are everywhere on a film set. I'm watching everything and making sure everything, all the holes are filled with my group. If we're asked to run on set, it's like, we look for the gaps in the spaces and we fill them. So the director's not looking at an empty area on his screen and stuff like that. So, and we go in full tongs, full battle.
What do you do personally to get into that mode? Like, is it as easy as just like you walk on set and you flip a switch and you go, or do you do something for your own personal mental?
Well, a lot of the time, if I'm getting into a part, obviously, like any other actor, you get into the part, you live it. You try to imagine what it would be like then, how you feel, what it feels like, how cocky you feel with 400 guys behind you when you're going to charge a bunch of Romans. I guess I spend a lot of time watching my guys now. When I'm on set, I'm watching what my guys are doing, and I might be fighting away, but I'm not kind of looking that way when I'm fighting this guy. But my periphery vision's watching everybody else, make sure everybody's doing, and not, making sure I've not got anybody not pulling their weight, not looking lame in front of the camera, because it's our reputation at the end of the day. So.
Right on. Where do you see Combat International going in the next 5 years? Are you kind of setting yourself up to the point where you don't have to be there on set? You have a trusted team that you can send to a particular movie set, and then you can go off and do something else that has a higher priority. What's your further goals for the company?
Well, I've got enough guys behind me now to to be confident enough to let them go and do their job. But I don't want to end up in the office. I mean, I'm 59 now, but I have no intention of slowing down. I like a good scrap with my guys. So,
Right.
and as much as, you know, some of the younger guys, I see them kind of looking at me, and you know, even my own son's been guilty of it. He's a bit sort of, you know, oh, got to look after my dad, you know, because you know, the first film I ever worked on with my son, my big son, he's 7'2".
What?
Yeah, he's 7'2". You'll see him in the duel. You can't miss him.
Oh my gosh.
He's towering above everybody. And I actually got to fight with him on set as well. You know, so that was our first big movie together, me and my son Finn. And he's working with me now. He shadows me. I take him everywhere. You know, I make sure he tunes into what I'm saying. There's always room for improvement. So he might in one day do it his way, but right now when he's with me, he does it my way. And he learns the ropes. And yeah, he's one of the guys that I'd be quite confident to let, you know, run the team and keep that level of, you know, morale and decorum on set. And yeah, so yeah, no sign of me giving up yet. Like,
good to hear, man. Good to hear. Actually, that was one of our questions that we had a little while ago. It says, is 48 too old to join Combat International? I'm assuming no. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, as long as you've got that spirit that you're talking about, I imagine anybody's good to go. Because that's one of the things I notice about these movies that have like these big, you know, barbarian warrior army coming towards us. There's always a couple of graybeards in there, and you're just like, yeah, there's got to be. Like, those are the real badasses that have lived through some shit.
yeah, and it would have happened. Yeah,
exactly. So Vader mentioned, he says he saw he found Shore Patrol. God, it's late over here. I'm freaking tired. Shore Patrol. It looks awesome. Can you tell us about it? So go ahead, man.
Yeah, that's a band I founded in 1999. I bought a bunch of drums from a car boot sale and threw them at some of my clan guys. They said, you know, we're gonna start a band. So we did a lot of busking in the festival, and then we ended up traveling internationally as far as Taiwan. I've personally been to Russell Crowe's farm, and we did 4 shows in Coffs Harbour in Australia with the IGP, the Indoor Garden Party. He holds it every year, and he invited me across for that. You know, we've become good friends, so it was going to happen sooner or later, I guess. And then he came to Scotland to visit Duncarn. Yeah, so we've travelled internationally. Obviously, COVID put a stop to that, and you know, some of the band members have decided they wanted to go their own way. I was into toning it down a little bit, and doing less gigs for more money, because I felt we were at that point. But they want to do more gigs, so I've kind of taken a back seat now from the band. But you know, it's more because I think the travelling was getting to me as well. I was on tour for 19 years, so I was bouncing off of film sets on a stage. You know, so I was working Monday to Friday in London, jumping on a flight, and then turning up in Germany or Italy, and you know, jumping on stage, performing all weekend. Sometimes doing like 3-4 shows in a weekend, and then jumping back on a flight on the Sunday to get back to film set. So I was knocking my pan in for years and years, and
dang,
there's not a lot of people actually realised what I put into that, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'd be, you know, working away with the band sometimes for 3 weeks at a time, and then I'd come back to a pile of mail on the desk, and just I was always chasing my tail, always trying to, you know, spinning plates, as we say. And but I think I'm going to, you know, there's a couple of other music projects we've got running at the moment. We've got to get into the studio and get it down and get it recorded. So, you know, I'm giving up on the music side, but the band will be reformed in Scotland, and you know, we'll continue.
Excellent,
just,
man.
Just
so
don't do it in such a manic way as I was doing it, you know.
Yeah, a little bit more organized and kind of like one step at a time.
Yeah, well, we were organised. It was very organised. I was managing the band at the same time as managing everything else. But so you know, a lot of things did happen. We got got places we probably never would have got if I hadn't put the time in.
Right.
But yeah, it's just 19, 20 years on the road. It's a lot.
That is a
Plus
lot.
doing what I'm doing at home.
So there's the website, guys. If when you're watching this, Vader pulled it up right here. You can check out their content and support them. That's amazing, man. Wow, I had no. So on top of everything that you've been doing with movies, you've also got this amazing band in the background too. That's incredible, dude. Well done, man.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Sometimes if you're an artist, you have to have more than one job, and that's what I'll say to most people listening is that if you want to get into the movies and you want to get into our field of work, always have a day job.
Yeah,
have another way that you can turn your hand to make money, because filming's a bit like buses. You'll get 4 or 5 in a row. There'll be a dry spell for a few years for our kind of work, because sword and sandal movies don't come around all the time. We are branching into other areas, combat in movies now, where people are starting to realize we don't just wield swords, we
do guns and stuff too. Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. And just keep yourself flexible.
Speaking of like new projects that are coming up, we've recently heard news that there's going to be some kind of a reboot for Highlander starring Henry Cavill. And this might be touchy subject. I don't know if you can or cannot say anything about it, but can you confirm or deny any kind of involvement in that project, or have you seen it on your radar at all?
We've seen it on the radar, and we are making inquiries to get our hand up and put our hand in there. Nothing as yet.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you put your name in the ring, because if that does end up becoming a thing, I'm going to be reaching out to you again for absolute sure. I'm going to be like, I'm going to call Charlie, bro, I need the skinny on the new Highlander movie.
You get it, mate. No worries. If you get it, you get it.
Yeah. So Highlander, I don't know about in the States, it's like one of those cult classic movies. People love it. It's amazing. Do you guys love that movie? Or like, I always watch like we see Sean Connery on scene, and he's in this ridiculous getup with the giant feathered cap and everything, and he's I think he calls himself a Spanish Egyptian. Yeah. It's a wild movie. How do you guys feel about it in Scotland?
Well, there's only a few of us in the team left now that will probably remember that movie. But so some of the young guns, they've heard of it. And the first and second one was okay. Well, the first one was good. The second one was kind of okay.
They went off the rails a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and then they started a TV series, which had a massive fan base, because we ended up touring America. We were in San Francisco, LA, Nassau on a boat. We came out of Miami, and we did live shows on the boat for the Highlander fandom at the time. And it was massive. Yeah. Hey, can you tell me to spell my name right? The amount of times my name ends up in the credits is Allen. That's French. I'm Allan, which is Scottish.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to make sure I remember that when I put it on the freaking title for this video.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's great.
The amount of times I'm credited with the wrong name, it's unbelievable, because it's everybody goes Allan, so it's Allen, but it's not.
That's an A. Let me see. Yeah. I wonder, I got to check my list and see if I actually did it right then on my own thing.
It's a funny thing anyway.
Yeah.
I don't get offended by it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Whew, man, that scared me for a minute. I mean, if there's anybody I don't want to piss off in the movie industry, it's this guy right here.
Not this time of the morning.
I can only imagine you talked about a minute ago when you were saying like, yeah, if I'm on set, I'm all business, and if I bark at you, just freaking do it, and then I'll talk to you later about it. Like, I can only imagine like somebody like you who portrays these freaking over the top barbarian characters in these movies. Like, if I have somebody like you barking at me, that's not somebody I'm going to be questioning.
Yeah. I don't have to do it often, but every now and again, somebody's slacking or dragging their heels a bit, or they're in the wrong place. I'll let them know it.
Do you have a movie that you kind of wish that you were involved in? Like what you talked about, like you see Braveheart and you see these guys goofing off on screen, like I could have done it better. Are there movies out there right now that are like you're like, man, I wish I could have got my hands on that. That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite content with what we've been involved in,
Hmm.
and I guess the level of fighting in the movies, as I was saying earlier, it's improved massively, massively,
Hmm.
very impressive, and the stunts at the top of their game as far as providing combat. There's a couple of movies I would have loved to have. Well, I think I've been in most of them. Most of the movies. I mean, Transformers 5, that was just phenomenal for fire and explosions. And, Robin Hood, Thor 2, there's a ton of stuff we've been in. Like, if you when you get a chance to look at our new website, you'll see our credits list. It's just, I was looking through it yesterday with my wife, and she was scrolling and scrolling. I was like, my God, it's endless, because we put all the movie posters up so
Yeah.
people can see them, recognize what we've been involved in.
Yeah. Jamie was kind enough to send me a quick list of movies that he had I think it was just off the top of his head. He said Outlaw King, Transformers Last Night, Justice League, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, with I think is a Guy Ritchie movie, and
That's
then the
right,
King
yeah.
Arthur with Clive Owen, Macbeth, Chaos Rising, Last Duel, Thor 2,
Yeah,
Gladiator, Snow White and the Huntsman. Like the list of movies that you guys have been involved in is absolutely incredible.
yeah, yeah, it was awesome.
So I would imagine, from my perspective, Gladiator would be like the crown jewel for your
Yeah,
career. Is that
that was my
accurate?
yeah, that was my first big experience
Okay.
on a big movie set. We'd done
Hmm.
a lot of other stuff before, low budget, but yeah, that was an eye opener. That
That's
was
incredible.
that was my introduction to the film industry proper, you could say.
I'll tell you after this interview, I'll tell you what, man, I'm never gonna watch that movie the same again. I'm gonna like that opening scene, like again, it's one of the best battle sequences in any movie freaking ever. And
Yeah.
now I know the dude who shouts at the beginning of that movie is Charlie Allen. That's incredible, dude. That's so freaking cool. All right, well, it's getting super late over here for us, so we're gonna polish this up real quick. Again, Charlie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule and waking up at the crack of dawn to join us. I apologize for the mix-up we had last week, and then for the little hiccup we had this week. These time
Oh,
changes are ridiculous, but I truly appreciate you coming on and joining us. And before
no
we get out
worries.
of here, real quick, let people know if they want to support your charity work. Where can they go and give your team a good shout out?
They can go to clanmanel.org, www.clanmanel.org. You can find us on combatinternational.com. Don't forget to look up the village, duncaron.com, DUNCARRON, duncaron.com. That's our jewel. That's our main thing.
Right on. Well, thank you, Charlie, so much for joining us tonight, man. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you, everybody that's been hanging out in the chat. I know it's super late here for us in the States, especially if you're on the East Coast. It's like
Yeah.
1 a.m., 2 a.m. or something. So thank you guys so much. Charlie, again, really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to your next project. And I would love to have you on the podcast anytime. If you have a new project that you want to talk about, a personal project or whatever, or even if it's your band, I would gladly have you on again to chat about it. So thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
I think we'll have some exciting news for you shortly. So we'll get
Excellent.
back to you. I'll keep you posted.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it, man. Thank you so much. Everybody else in the chat, thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. And have a great night. Thank you guys all so much. Oh, yeah, JT's in the chat again. Says, don't forget 5-star reviews on Apple iTunes. That's right. We're not that far away. We're looking for 200 reviews to get accredited with Rotten Tomatoes to become movie reviewers. So head over there. We're almost there. We have, I think, over 150. So head over to Apple's iTunes and give us a 5-star review for the Salty Nerd podcast. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next week.